I have your attention, please. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Sponsored by Andrea Mason, Press Play, Plan Life According to You, LLC. Take care of your mental health. Find inner peace by rediscovering and loving you for who you truly are. Take advantage of this exclusive offer and choose to press play today. Thank you.
And I, pretty much go through the biography of Jay Lyric, man, and how he came about and why he came about. A lot of people don't know Jay Lyric is actually an acronym. It actually stands for something. I ain't gonna give it here again. That's gonna be for the show, but I'm gonna let them know where that acronym came from, and like I said, how and
So
why.
it's kind of like a I'm trying not necessarily an introduction, but basically.
What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? This is the host of the Buzzing With Marlowe podcast, and I want to say first and foremost, Happy New Year. We are all recovering from the holidays, but guys, if you are new to the channel, it's back. We're ready to go. It's time to roll. If you are new to the channel, make that is Buzzing with Marlowe on all social platforms, as in name a few: Facebook, Twitter, the X. We're actually going to be on Lemon as of today. I don't know what Lemon is. If anybody knows what it is, put it down in the comments. We've been told, hey, we need to get on Lemon, so we gonna do it as well. Make sure you like, share, and most importantly, subscribe to us on our YouTube page as well. Our YouTube channel is growing. We're also going to be on Tumblr. We're also going to be on Rumble as well, guys. And, of course, you can catch us on all audio platforms as well. We are officially, and I'll say it again, officially on Pandora as well. So we are growing. It is rolling time. I know it's been a while. I apologize. It's been a minute. I've had a lot going on, obviously with everyone, it's going to be craziness with the holidays. I had a lot of issues that just had to happen, and with work and everything. I mean, I hate giving excuses, but I'm here. I appreciate all the love and support. I appreciate all the emails. I appreciate all the things like, hey, man, when's the next show? What's going on? I see you're wrestling a little bit more now. Like, what's going on? We will be revealing more booking dates in the near future. I have a total of 4 right now for 2025. I'm really excited about that. We've got a lot of things going on, man. We got a lot of bookings for the interviews as well. We're going to try to focus more on live interviews this go around, this go season. We got a lot go on, man. And of course, man, we got to talk about, the big talk. WWE going to Netflix is monumental. And I love what they're doing right now on Netflix right now. If you can go on Netflix, you type in WWE, they are introducing everything to get you prepared for the episode for Netflix next Monday. It's going to be a crazy event. They said they're stacking that card like it's a WrestleMania. So you're going to see a couple of guys. Let's show a couple. Let's show a couple. We've got you might see this guy, the American Nightmare, the undisputed champ, Cody Rhodes. You're going to see Seth Rollins versus CM Punk. That's going to be a great match. You're going to see the evil New Day now. You're going to see the GOAT come in and show and wreck it rolling with the final boss back in the wrestling business. I'm talking about the greatest of all time, The Rock. We've got, I'm pretty sure Stone Cold's probably going to pop up. Who knows going to show up for this event? Obviously, we got Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa in the tribal combat match. That's going to be crazy to watch. You got Jey Uso going to be involved. I think he's facing Drew McIntyre that night as well. That card is stacked. And of course, you got Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan for the women's heavyweight championship. That's going to be a crazy match. Man, I'm saying, man, this card is going to be stacked. Netflix is getting a great deliverance coming in right off the get-go. And they also did announce that they will be doing all pay-per-view events and everything on Netflix, which is insane. So if you've got a Netflix account, you can go in and watch WWE at any time when it comes to this stuff. Also, they did say that they're going to put past Rollins NXT and SmackDown episodes. It's going to be a day after, but you are going to be able to watch it and, recap if you missed the actual date on USA and stuff like that. So that's even more crazier. They are showing way too much introduction going into this coming in. I'm super excited. I think this is going to be a huge milestone just for pro wrestling. Even if you just say, oh, it's sports entertainment. I mean, sports entertainment and wrestling are the same thing. No one's going to be able to change my mind or change my perspective on it. I mean, obviously, me being in the ring doing this stuff, fans react more based off of emotion, off of feeling, off of suspense than just the moves. So I always will say it's sports entertainment. So seeing WWE go into Netflix is going to be insane. We'll probably catch UFC on Netflix. I mean, this is going to be a great intro for all combat sports to get into Netflix. We've had all these indie films. We've always had mixed martial arts movies. You've also had Heels. If you haven't, guys, go check out Heels. The show is phenomenal. There's 2 seasons of it. Even if you're not a WWE fan, go check it out, man. Even if you're not a pro wrestling fan, I guarantee you're going to have some type of feeling with it. It's a great show. It's showing the introduction of how it really is in the independent wrestling circuit. It's a lot of reality that goes into it. I mean, Stephen Amell's in it. There's a lot of great casts that are in that show. And if they get so much more rep, they're going to do a season 3. So that's what we're really pushing for. So anyone, if you haven't, go watch Heels. You won't be disappointed. It's got great storytelling. It's got suspense. It's got feeling. It's got emotion. It's got, you can relate to characters. You can live vicariously through these characters. You can live your imagination through these guys. Like, that's one thing I think a lot of people watch TV is for. There's a lot of things that we can't do, and you can live vicariously through that person. And that's something I think about with pro wrestling too, man, especially with me being, the red, white, and blue, white meat baby face, USA chant and fight until the end, fight until I can't go no more, American prodigy. You live vicariously through me because you want to see me prevail. I mean, I take a beating, you're going to feel a feeling like, dang, man, I really want to see this guy prevail. I really want this guy to get up and go for it. And a lot of people, sometimes want to fight back. And, sometimes it can cost you your job. It can cost you your loved one or something like that. So there's always a feeling when it comes to entertainment aspect. So definitely look forward. Netflix going to be an insane thing. They had the NFL games on Christmas that really was a good turnout. In my opinion, I thought it was a really good way to go. Obviously, there was a lot of issues with the Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fight, but I think they fixed it, and I'm super excited about this whole thing. But guys, other than that, let's talk about the ones that pay the bills. First and foremost, I want to talk about Dubby, that jitterless energy. That's right, guys. If you want to throw away drinking countless amounts of coffee that only gets you slightly energized and maybe give you a tummy ache and go to the bathroom more than anything, Dubby has got you covered. All it is jitterless energy. It's kind of like a tub, guys. It's kind of like a pre-workout, but it's so good, and more importantly, guys, it's a good product. It's super sweet with not any sugar, and of course, you know what's putting in your body based off of the tubs. You have samples, you have the bottles, you have shakers. If you're a NASCAR fan, you got stickers, you got hats, you got t-shirts, hoodies. Type in the promo code BUZZ20 capital B and get 10% off of your purchase, guys. Shout out to Dubby, always giving Buzzing with Marlowe that jitterless energy. All right, guys, and of course, guys, we got to talk about the merch. As you could tell, I'm rocking the hoodie. I'm rocking. It's gotten a little chilly. I ain't gonna lie out here. You know, for a Florida boy right now, it's gotten a little chilly. But I'm talking about Bonfire/Buzzing with Marlowe. Go in there and get you some merch. That's right, guys. We got the American Prodigy hoodies out, and they are ready to sell. We've got t-shirts, we got tank tops, V-necks, long sleeves, short sleeves. You want it, you name it, we've got it. And of course, guys, we got the podcast. We got everything regarding with those. We have all season 5, all the way up to season 5 logos for the podcast merch. We have also the OG logo as well. But the biggest thing is we have every setback makes one heck of a comeback, guys. We finally made it a t-shirt, and it's been selling very well. We have morphing into the season 5 logo on the back as well, so it's a little bit more detailed and stuff like that. So I would definitely check that one out. And of course, guys, we're gonna update it a little bit. I know everybody gets a little mad about the blockiness. I kind of got carried away with some of the stuff, and I wasn't really paying attention to some of the image. So if that's an issue, message me, let me know, and I will set you up, and I'll get you even a better look of it where it will not have the square. Some people like the square, so obviously we will keep it right now. But if we get a lot of more comments and stuff like that, emails and stuff like that, I will change it and make it where it's not a blocky anymore, and we will literally just have the wordings on it. We've been talking to Bonfire, so they will get it set up. Of course, guys, they have morphing into season 5. Ladies, they have the Razorbacks. I know it's winter time. I know it's getting a little cold right now, but you know, it's time to new year, new me, you know, trying to get in the fitness workouts and stuff like that. I was just in the gym today, and it was extremely packed. So obviously people are ready to get their New Year's resolutions in. So go in there and get you a Razorback. Hop in there and get you a long sleeve. Get you a V-neck, short sleeve, whatever you want. Rock that Buzzing with Marlowe logo and show that every setback makes one heck of a comeback, and you were ready to take on that challenge and prevail and dominate your competitors. Of course, guys, we have the beanies, we have the hats, we have it all. Go in there, man. Type in the promo code BUZZ20 and get 10% off of your purchase. Shout out to Bonfire, always giving Buzzing with Marlowe our apparel needs. All right, guys, as you have been requesting what's been going on with the commission, myself and Dre on Wheels, we are going to be back on the week of the Royal Rumble. That's right, guys. We will be back for that. Me and Dre on Wheels, man. We're gonna rock it. It's just me and him. Shout out to Brian B for all the great things that he has done for us. We're going to keep the intro as well to keep a piece of Brian B with us. Brian knows he is always more than welcome to always pop on. We're always going to put him on if he wants to. We obviously, you know, there was just needed a lot of changes to happen. We love Brian. We always will support his show. We always support everything of STR Nation, everything. But obviously sometimes, you know, it's just got to have some changes. So I'm excited about what's going to happen for 2025. Also, guys, so obviously for commission talks, it will be me and Dre on Wheels every Wednesday, guys, every Wednesday. Let's say it again, every Wednesday. we will be live. That's right, guys. Live on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and on, well, we can't be on X no more for some reason. X wants to go a little crazy. We will also be on Rumble as well, guys. And of course, I will get all the audio standpoints, and we're going to have more audio episodes for Commission Talks this upcoming season. Myself and Dre on Wheels, we will take turns. You will see 1 week of Buzzing with Marlowe. You will see the next on the Talk Pro Wrestling, the 11:30 podcast, man. They're doing great things. Dre has been streaming like crazy right now, man. So he's now fully a watch along guy. So I'm very proud of him, man. Great achievements that this man's been doing and stuff like that. Also, guys, every Sunday you will catch me with the Pod Mob. We are talking, and it's gonna be some fun, man. We did have an After Dark. I don't know what it's called. I gotta remember what it's called now. Shame on me for forgetting, but my mind just went a little blank today. But you catch us every Sunday at 10 p.m. Eastern time. Myself, Blackheart, Uncle Fats, and Dukes, and maybe even Maverick when he pops on, and Big Mike. So, guys, you could always catch us on so many different chances. I will say this now. I'm going to make more an effort to get more episodes out on this channel for sure. If I can't, it will be a Commission Talks episode, or it will be the episode on that Sunday. You will be able to catch me on once or twice a week. I promise you that. I apologize for the break and the delays and stuff like that. It's just I needed a refresher. I had a lot of stuff that I had to attend to more at this time just to get back to where we are now. So I want to appreciate all the love and support that we had. I want to thank everybody for all the happy anniversary comments. It was an awesome anniversary. Me and my wife have hit 7 years now. Also, we got an announcement as well. When everything is not so chaotic anymore, me and my wife are going to do a live show ourselves. That's right, man. We're going to do Q&A with Mr. and Mrs. Marlowe. We're going to have a fun time. We're going to do questions and answers. We might even play a trivia game. Who knows each other the best? We're going to have his and her perspective. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we will, when we get the logo and everything set in stone, and obviously with my work schedule and everything that's been going on, we will get that a date more advancedly announced, and more importantly, we're going to get it set up as quickly as possible. But yeah, man, we got a lot of things coming. We got a lot of fun that's going to be happening as well. Obviously, football season. It almost makes me want to cry. It's still about the Hurricanes. My take on Cam Ward leaving the game in the second half, I'm not really mad about. I mean, the defense sucked. I mean, gosh. I mean, that was the only downfall for Miami this season was the defense. And, for us to go 10-2 still, I'm happy about. I mean, good Lord, I can't even tell you when it was a really good Miami season. That offense was the best. I'll say it again, and you can quote me on this. Miami had the best offense in college football this year, bar none. I don't care what anyone says. It was a fact, statement, true, whatever you want to hear. Cam Ward was the best quarterback that came out of college football this season. Xavier Restrepo, one of the top 3 receivers of this season. Isaiah Horton, top 5 at the most. Arroyo, top 4 in the tight end standpoint, man. And, man, Martinez is him. I can't wait. I'm glad he's coming back next season. It sucks that Cam Ward only had 1 season with us. As a diehard Miami fan, Cam Ward, you got my support, man. I hope you do great wonders in the NFL. I will say this, man, and a lot of people want to give this man a lot of backlash, but dude, this dude was playing around with defenses this season. I've never seen a quarterback so calm and just get a ball off after being pressured 3 or 4 times, after juking a couple of the rushers and stuff like that. So, I mean, I got utmost respect for Cam Ward, and I'm looking so forward to seeing what he's going to do in the NFL. I hope he goes to a really good team that really can use and benefit from him and not be one of these guys that goes in the number 1 draft pick and they just say, oh, he's a bust because he absolutely goes to a god-awful team that really just has nothing to help the momentum to get him to where he really needs to be presented. There's countless quarterbacks that have had that issue. It ain't even their fault, but you're going to get pinned for it because you're the one they drafted. They're the one that put the money in, and that's just how that cookie crumbles. But yeah, man, shout out to Miami Hurricanes going 10-2. It sucked we lost the Pop-Tart Bowl. I know everybody's been cracking jokes about that lately, but it is what it is. It is what it is. All right. I mean, it's still about the Hurricanes. In my opinion, the committee knew what they were doing in the beginning. It didn't even matter. The only way we knew we were going to get in is if we beat Syracuse, and they would have still tried to find a way to not get us in. So, I mean, it sucks that we lost the games that we lost. I say this now. Nobody outplayed us. We played down too much this season. It was like almost watching, damn, I forgot his name. The Florida State quarterback. I can't remember his name. Jameis Winston. When his season came in and every team was like up by like 20 points and then they come back and just win it. It felt like kind of like that a little bit. But we just sat there and played down every game because our defense couldn't cover crap. That was something that was a really big loss for us this season. And I feel like that's the only reason why we did make playoffs is because everybody saw our defense as an exposure type scenario because our offense was scoring over 40 points a game. So, I mean, shout out to Miami Hurricanes. Shout out to Mario Cristobal, man. You made Miami a beneficial again and made us, a talk on TV and stuff and not even be a joke. I mean, whatever people want to say now, Miami went 10-2. So I don't care what anyone else says. Miami went 10-2. They deserved to be in that playoffs. Cam Ward, I don't have any hate towards you, man. I just wish we had you way sooner than just your senior year, my friend. So congratulations to you. I believe you should have won Heisman. I believe you should have been in a lot more accolades than what you were because you won quarterback of the year and you didn't even win Heisman just because they had one personal favorite, which I get it. Travis Hunter played both ends, corner and wide receiver. You won't see him doing that in the NFL. The NFL is a whole different animal. But I think just the fact that it was just based off of a popularity vote, they were doing everything they could to keep Miami out. Obviously, Miami dominating from the 80s, the 90s, and stuff like that. We haven't been back. And it sucks, especially with this season, because we put so much effort, and we didn't get the deliverance. So it sucks, but it's always about the Canes. I bleed green and orange till the end of the time. So shout out to the Hurricanes, shout out to Mario Cristobal, shout out to Cam Ward, and shout out to y'all making that decision to fire your defensive coordinators now. So hopefully changes are about to happen. All right, guys, enough about football, enough about all that. Guys, we have a great guest today. I've got Anne Sieder. That's right, guys. Actress, acting coach. She does it all, man. And when I tell y'all guys, the bio for this woman is monumental. She has got so much great knowledge to what this episode is going to be feeding into. If you're looking for great inspirations, you're looking for a person that literally just, when the words "I can't" happen, she proves everyone wrong. This woman, obviously, she was an actress at a very young age, did great successes on it. She realized that was something that she wasn't fully invested in at that time, and she became a mother. She moved out of the U.S. for a special someone that's German, and moved to Germany and had a family and became a great mother, a great wife, and decided at a very different, at an age that usually a lot of people, hang it up in the Hollywood business, to go and decide, hey, I want to go back. And knows more wisdom and stuff like that, guys. When I tell you, this episode is going to be a very inspiration. If you ever feel like, when we talk about it, man, every setback makes one heck of a comeback. This one right here, I feel like is going to be a great testament to that. So, guys, I'm done babbling. And when we come back, you know what happens. When the countdown is up and it is time to go, we will be joined with Anne Sieder. And guys, ladies and gentlemen, that starts in 3, 2, 1, right now. And with Anne, how you doing?
Hey, Warren, nice to be here. That is some intro.
I appreciate it. It's Friday, so that's all I care about. It's Friday.
The last day
it's been a
2024.
It's been a ride.
It has.
Isn't that crazy? Like, I feel like this year just like zip line.
Oh my God!
It's like you blinked and it's like, oh my gosh, Christmas is already here. Like, oh. And it's funny thing is because you got that anticipation all year, especially when we were kids. Christmas. Oh man, we're counting it down. You know the reference. What are you waiting on? Christmas? Like you're waiting, like it's a forever wait. But it's like when Christmas came, it's like, it was already Christmas. Like I remember I had to drive around because obviously the weather here hasn't been the most Christmas look. So you're in shorts looking at Christmas lights. It's kind of like, this is awkward.
Yeah. Well, the other half of the world does it like that, right? Australia, South America.
So where are you currently at?
So I'm in Munich, Germany. I'm an American, as you can probably tell from my accent. Mm-hmm. I moved here about 30 years ago for love, not my career, but have managed to make both work. So, okay. Yeah, that's
what's going on. So you did say you moved to Germany for love, not for your career and stuff like that. So how did all that happen?
Okay. So I had been a professional actor back in America, where I'm from. I was living in Chicago. And let's see, I had been back and forth to Europe a few times, living in Europe for a couple of years, moving back. I lived in Paris. I lived in London, finished up my dramatic acting studies there in London. Lived in Rome for a while, a couple of years there. Lived in south of France for a while. So every time I would always go back to Chicago. I had a couple of stints, like where I was in New York for a while, LA for a while, but Chicago is where I consider to be home. Mm-hmm. And then when I was about 28 years old, I had like one of the best years ever as an actor. In fact, it was so good that I didn't have to have a side hustle. So I was very proud about that. I was SAG-AFTRA working on my equity card. So those are the three unions, the actors unions. And I was making enough money through SAG to have my health insurance paid for. So man, I was feeling very good.
You're on cloud nine.
And then I met, I was doing well. And not necessarily through any strategy. When I look back on it, there was a lot of luck involved, which is, definitely the second time around has made me kind of reassess all of that. But then just when you think you know where life is headed, life throws you a curveball. And my curveball was a hot German guy. So that's how I ended up in Germany. And that was, it'll be 30 years in March of 2025. It'll be 29 years in March of 2025. Yeah.
That's commitment. And you're still living there. You're still living there.
I'm still living
like
here.
Like you just said, though, you've traveled the world in so many different ways. Like you just said, I used to live in Rome and stuff like that. That's on people's bucket list just to visit. And you live there and stuff like that. Yeah. So that's pretty cool just to even have that type of stardom to where you could say, hey, I've lived here, here, here. And like you said, you found yourself back in Chicago out of all places out at the US. So obviously you like the cold area. You like the
Well, you know, I was born and
Spontaneous
raised in
looks.
Detroit.
Okay.
Yeah, I can be very spontaneous. I'm quick to make a decision and then I'm all in. It's
Right.
like, yes, this is what I'm going to
Clearly,
do.
you moved to Rome, oh
Yeah.
my goodness, Italy. Oh my gosh. So obviously, Anne, if nobody knows who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, as I said, I was a professional actor back in the States, and I moved here when I was 28 years old. Got knocked up right away, started having our family. We had a son. That's it. He's our one and only. That and our little furry baby. And I would say the first couple of years, I was just trying to get acclimated. I honestly didn't see a way forward with my acting career because I didn't speak German at the time. And so you kind of have to be able to communicate or at least understand to act. So I really wasn't sure what was going to happen with that. But I had always wanted to be a mom. And it became all consuming, especially my first baby. And I thought we would have more, but we didn't. It's how life played out. And my son was probably about 2 years old when I saw a poster for the American Drama Group. And I was like, aha, that sounds like it's got my name all over it. So I made an appointment. I went and auditioned. It went really well. And the guy was like, welcome to the family. And he whips out this touring calendar. And he starts showing me where they're going to be touring all around Europe and the dates and this and that. And I was like, oh, whoa. I've got a little boy at home. I've got a husband. There's no way I can tour 9 months of the year. And that's what it was. 9 months of the year. So there was no way.
So they were ready to put you on right off the rip. They were basically saying, hey.
Well, I auditioned.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Here you are.
Yeah. But so I was disappointed, right? Because I really thought like, oh, okay, like here's something. And I got up to leave. I felt bad for wasting his time. I felt bad for myself, for my smashed dreams. And just as I was about to close the door on a whim, I just kind of leaned back in and I said, hey, Grantley, you wouldn't happen to know anybody here in Munich who I could call, would you? And he gave me 2 names. And that was one of my first big life lessons, I have to say. I just want to stop here for a minute because I think so many times we're afraid to ask. Mm-hmm. And people are so willing to help when the lift is easy. Yep. I wasn't asking for his firstborn child. I wasn't asking. He didn't even give me a phone number. He just gave me names. And then I went and tracked them down myself. So when you make an ask easy, people want to help. And so those 2 men became pivotal in launching my voiceover career in Munich, in Germany. And I became probably one of the top American voices in Germany for about 20 years. So I was working a ton, like all of the major German companies that you've heard of, all of the minor German companies that you've never heard of that want to be on the world market, all of the American companies that have, branches here. I've worked for all of them. Literally, I don't think there's one that I haven't worked for. So that was great. It was lucrative, but it wasn't creative. Mm-hmm. Not in the way that I wanted to be creative. I'll put it that way. Even though sometimes I did cartoons, sometimes I did video games. I saw you're a big video game fan. So I did a lot of video games and it's fun, but it's not like the serious acting, like, sink your teeth into it kind of acting that I love. And so the voiceover pretty quickly led to presenting work, which is like doing the intros and outros. And I hosted a game show in Canada for a few years, a couple of them actually. Did like a lot of like major interviews for like the IAA, which is the International Auto Show in Frankfurt, or like I worked for Audi back then doing their Audi TV. Thank you, Audi. They bought my house in Florida for me, which I had for a while. So it was all good, but it wasn't creative. And then that led to commercials. That was a little bit more fun, a little bit more on my alley. And life went on like that for about 16 years. And I thought, okay, this is it. Be happy with what you've got. You're making your living acting adjacent. I was making really good money. I had tons of free time. It's like I feel like I'm complaining when I shouldn't be. And that was the feeling I had back then too. It was like, just suck it up. It's not what you wanted, but it's good. So deal with it,
Mhm.
But when it's not what you want, there's like that hole, like that hunger for something else. And that was definitely there. And I kept trying to fill it with all these other things. I was into painting, I was into mosaics, I was in interior design, jewelry design, like you name it, I would get into it like full on for a couple of years. And I'd be like, okay, bored, next, and I
You sound
didn't
like
really.
me in so many ways. I love it because how this podcast started was based off of me, obviously around COVID time and stuff like that. Hate to cut you off, but I mean, this is really good stuff because, like you just said, you had stuff that people at like a 3% have ever got to experience. Like sometimes, and there's a metaphor I know a lot of people talk about when you talk about sports athletes and stuff like that. Like you're getting paid to play a sport that so many people idolize, and people have said, hey, when they were kids, I want to do this when I grow up. Like this is the dead set stone. But like you just said, like this is not what I for sure have always seen myself do. This is awesome. This has been paying the bills. Like this has been doing things for me to be a mom, stuff like that. But it's not what I wanted to do. I
But
love how
the
you said that
interesting,
because when
yeah,
I was in
I
pro
think we have to
wrestling,
acknowledge that,
when I was
you
in pro
know?
wrestling, I got hurt and I was on the shelf for a long time due to a neck injury. And it was tough for me to find something to, keep me occupied. Like,
Yeah.
I tried flag football. I got into that real heavily. And I can relate to a lot you talk about because when you get into it, you're in it. Like I've
Yeah.
always told people, if I'm in something, if I'm interested in it, I'm all in or I'm not going to be doing anything with it. Like with this podcast, I never thought I was going to be somebody that was going to be on a microphone talking to people and people listen to me like on Spotify and all this other stuff. Like, when you listen to Spotify, I'm thinking that's just people that you're listening to workout music, stuff like that. It's like for music, inspirational stuff like that. And to know that people are able to listen to me and talk to me, I'm like, dude, you sound so professional. You sound like this. I never saw it like that. But I even told my wife, I was like, when I got into podcasting, I'm going to try it out. I'm going to just like,
Yeah.
it's that what if, like, it's more better to try it out than you just think about it and go, oh man, I should have done that. I could
Absolutely.
have done
You're
that. Stuff like
totally
that.
hitting on one of my, like the tenets of
It used to
around my
drive me
coaching.
nuts because like I'm so competitive in some ways too, and it's still kicking my butt to this day a little bit, knowing that my speed has gotten a little slower and stuff like that, but I still challenge the next person if they try to go up with me. But it's like you get to those confidence standpoint, where your standard is, and that's where it needs to stay, and that's where
Yeah.
hey, what can I do to keep me to what I know for a fact I could sit with, and I'm happy, and says this is what I've been wanting to plan. This is what I wanted to do from day one. So I love how you said some stuff like I hated to cut you off on that, but I mean that is a big thing that people need to realize because we go through that every single day. Like there's people that don't like their job, and people can't go through the thing is like, hey man, but this pays the bills, this is covering for my kids, this is covering for my wife, this is covering our house, things are struggles and stuff. I hate my job, but it's getting us by. And you see that depression just deteriorate somebody. And sometimes people, I mean, it can be a big risk. Like, like you just said, you've gotten to have so much things. You get to spend time with your kid. You get to be home with your family. Like the job that you were talking about doing, I've heard people missing Christmases, birthdays, everything like that. So it's like, very blessed that you got to experience stuff like that. But like you just said, you want what you know for a fact. You have a standard and you want it to be at that standard, not only that standard. So how was all that transition and stuff, and how were you able to go, all right, now it's to the next?
So I just want to stop there for a sec, because there were a couple of like really important points that I think people need to hear. And like from your story, from my story, start messy. Like you start messy, follow your curiosity and start messy. Like just do it, because that is the thing that is going to put you on the road. And that may not be the thing that you ultimately end up doing. Just like I didn't ultimately, I still do voiceover once in a while, but it's not my mainstay anymore. And just like pro wrestling led you down a different road to where you're now doing podcasting. So, but you would never be doing what you're doing right now if you hadn't taken those first few steps. So those first few steps, they're never mistakes. They're always part of your path and part of what is ultimately going to lead you to your purpose. So for me, that was, yeah. So when my son was about 16 years old, he came to me. We had a standard movie date on Friday nights, and he came to me on Thursday, and he's like, Mom, do you mind if I just, let's just stop these weekend. I don't want to hang out with you anymore. And so I was like, okay. I knew the day was coming. I actually was kind of surprised that it took that long, but it was bittersweet, I have to say, but I have to say also, it was the first time, I think my husband was away on a golfing trip or something. It was like the first time that I had a chance to like ask myself, well, what do I want to do? What do just I want? What would make me happy? Not taking anybody else into consideration. And I just wanted to have some fun. And my idea of a fun time is taking an acting workshop. So I sat down and I Googled acting workshop Munich English, and one popped up, which was not normal. We're talking 13, 14 years ago now. So there was a coach out of LA. If you're familiar with the film Reservoir Dogs, he was the guy who had his ear cut off in Reservoir Dogs. Kirk Balch, shout out, excellent coach, good actor, really good actor.
Good movie.
And there was one seat left. So I whipped out my credit card. I saved that spot. I showed up the next day with my little thermos and my little packed lunch and my dreams and my hopes and all of that, not knowing honestly what to expect. I didn't know, where he was. I just knew it was an English workshop. I didn't know anything about him or what the style of acting would be, nothing. So it could have sucked, to be very honest, but it didn't. And my story probably would be very different had it not been good. Mm-hmm. But it was amazing. It was everything I had been missing. It made me realize that for 16 years, I had had this pilot light burning inside of me. And all of a sudden, it just combusted. And I was on fire. He saw it too. He's like, you, there were three of us. He's like, you, and you. You all need to get together. You need to keep going. You guys are on fire. And I came back that Sunday, told my husband, I need to relaunch my acting career. I don't know what that looks like. I was 47 at the time. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what that means. I don't know how to do it. I didn't have any of the typical things that you need as an actor. I didn't have any current showreel material. I didn't have any current headshots. I didn't have any industry contacts, but I was like, I don't care. And it's a time when most women are probably thinking about leaving the industry. And I was like, I don't care. I don't care about any of that. I just need to do this. I need to try. I do not want to get to the end of my life and look back and wonder what could have been had I only just tried. And so this is my first obstacle. Was I was very rusty, because like being a pro athlete, and you know about this, Warren, you've got to stay in shape. You've got to stay flexible. You've got to stay, you got to be able to work out. And I hadn't been doing that for 16 years. Not really. I mean, put me in front of a mic. I was great, but I wasn't acting. I wasn't accessing those channels. I wasn't doing any of that. So I knew that I needed some training, but I didn't want to add the extra layer of having to get that training in German, because I spoke German, but not great back then. And I just wanted to be able to act and react without wondering if my pronunciation was off, or if I screwed up the line because my grammar was off, or if I understood it. None of that. I just didn't want to deal with that. So the obstacle always presents the solution if you just ask the right questions. So the obstacle was I needed the training, and that it wasn't in Germany, in Munich, in English, the way I wanted it. So that was the solution, because my only other option was to fly to London, fly to New York, fly to LA, and get the training I needed. But that obviously would have been super expensive, and it would have been also time consuming, because even though my son didn't want to hang out with me on the weekends, I was still getting him up for breakfast and checking his homework and, making sure he didn't break curfew too badly and all those things, right? So yeah. So then that's when I started to reach out with these amazing coaches that I had always wanted to work with, and just started asking. And again, it goes back to just ask. What's the worst people can say? No, thanks. I'm not into it. I do not want to fly to Munich to teach a workshop, right? So, because I knew that if I only got a handful of other actors, then I could at least get these coaches in and not pay any more than I paid for that workshop that I took that somebody else organized. And that was my only plan. That was literally it. So I just wanted to have that at a decent cost in my hometown, around my schedule. What ended up happening was I ended up getting free training. I was building a community, and this is before community was like the thing it is today. Community, but it wasn't.
Is that the
it
word
wasn't a
nowadays?
buzzword. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, community is like the thing now, right? And I didn't realize how important that was going to be until I started to actually relaunch my career. And I was getting free training, building this community, building my authority. I had to fight to get the critique and the feedback, because people were naturally putting me up with the coaches, because I was always going out to lunch with them, hanging out with them during the breaks, because I was the one who was building.
Basically.
Yeah. Well, and I was the one who had hired them. I was the one who had built the relationship with them. And so I really had to fight to get the feedback and the critique. And the other thing, I was earning between 1,000 and 2,000 euros. So $1,000, $2,000, a little bit better than that per workshop. And I was doing that 1 to 2 times a month. And then those I called my big workshops, when I had a coach in. And then I was organizing little workshops in between these big workshops, where we could just work out, whoever had taken the big workshop, and we could just practice whatever we had learned. So I was working out 6 times a week, anywhere between 3 and 8 hours a day, depending on what it was. Mm-hmm. So I was getting retrained as an actor, basically. And I was curating my training as well. Okay, I feel like I need this now. Let me go here. I feel like I need that. Let me look at this. And then after about 1.5 years, I'm okay, I got what I needed. I feel good. I'm confident in my skills again. Now I want to relaunch my career. So I totally pushed the workshops to the side, because they had only been a means to an end. They had never been the end in itself. And I started to relaunch my career the same way I knew how to do it when I was a young woman, which was you get an agent, you get on the casting director's radars, and you sit and you wait and you pray, please, somebody discover me, notice me. And I, at this point, I'm almost 50. I'm realizing that I could be waiting a really long time if I don't figure this out on my own. And I'm not a very patient person. So
You never
I'm not.
never brought that up. You don't look that way either. But I love how you say that. Main question I definitely gotta ask is what was
Yeah.
different from, like you just said, you weren't acting, but it's organic. When you have a microphone in your hand and you're acting just off the rip, like you can show emotion, you can show a feeling, you know the area of the crowd, that's the round surroundings of you and stuff. It's kind of like pro wrestling. Like I tell people all the time, like when you talk about pro wrestling, in a way it's like acting, it's theatric, it's sports entertainment, it's all these things in one. But I tell people it's hard to put it all together. And if you would know me, like in high school and stuff, me being in a pro wrestling mantra, like they would have looked at you and said you're crazy, because I was just so dead strong on playing basketball. I was one of those guys, and it was like, for this transition for me to get into the pro wrestling realm, I had to learn. And I had to take acting lessons, because I'm having to react, because you're not doing things based off of your words, you're doing based off of your body, your movement,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So for me to be
Yeah.
the good guy, what do I do to get the crowd to, hey, I like you, come back, fire back, we
Yeah.
need you to win? Is
Right.
I'm have to take you through a roller coaster of me overcoming the odds. Like that was something about my character, was I was like a Rocky Balboa. You're not going to care about Rocky Balboa if he's always winning. He's the one dominating the fight. It's the one that's the underdog, fighting under and prevailing out of the rampant. Like, oh my gosh, I don't know how he came back. Like, it's so cool how you said that. So what was different in the acting realm to when you started back now? Because like you just said, you starting back at the age, that's usually the time where it's like, all right, it's time to hang it up. Like, I should have
Yeah.
my golden star in Hollywood or something like that. And that's my curtain call, So like, what was a lot different this time coming back than comparing to what you were when it was a lot different, obviously, when you were younger?
Yeah. I mean, what wasn't different, honestly? I was 25, almost 25 years older. I was living in a different country. I didn't, speaking a different language. The industry had changed. It was now leaning much more into film and television. That was becoming cheaper. So there were a lot more independent films being made. Things were much more accessible through the internet. And I mean, just like it was an entirely different story, like when I left, I had actual film reels. Your show reel is called a reel because it used to be film that was stored on a reel, right? That's what my reel used to look like when I was an actor, back in America.
Imagine that as an Instagram short now. Than the film reels.
I mean, but who even
people don't know about them film reels, man?
No, nobody uses real film, right? And I had, like, when I had studied directing briefly over at NYU, Tisch, and we were literally using a razor blade and Scotch tape to edit the film, like to edit it on an old Steinbeck editing machine. I mean, this is where people like today, they have no friggin' idea. And like the scene you needed, the scene that was going to make your movie, where was that? Usually crumpled up under your foot somewhere, like on the floor. So yeah, it was just an entirely different industry. The other thing that was different was, as I said, when I was young, I got some lucky breaks. I knew some people who got me into some great auditions. People are much more willing to help you when you're young, and
especially in that
that,
type of
right?
industry. I get what
Yeah.
you're saying.
Yeah. And, people are not like falling over themselves to help a 50-year-old woman, So it's yeah, it was just a completely different thing. And I think also one of the biggest things that was different for me was my mindset. So as a young woman, I often let fear bully me. So, and that fear would show up for me sounding like logic, like,
Mhm.
oh, move to Rome, like that's interest, do that. And I was acting in Rome. I was still doing it, but really I should have been in LA. If I really wanted to see that, or at least working in Chicago, like steadily doing the theater scene in Chicago and coming up that way, that would have been a way to do it as well. But I think I was scared. I was scared of failure. And so if I didn't really try or didn't really try in
You
a
were
way
taking
that
the ones that were given to you because obviously this is something that you wanted to do.
yeah.
I like how you said that because obviously my first run before I got hurt, I never would say no. And that can be a good thing and a bad thing in pro wrestling because then, I mean,
Same in acting. Yeah.
hey, you take the wrong move. It don't matter if it's turn right or whatever. It can harm
Yeah.
you and the person. And I would never say no at first. And now that I'm at my age and I'm at my
Yeah.
no's been coming out a lot more common, and promoters don't
Yeah.
like it at times. But it's like
Yeah.
you gotta stand your ground, and that's what something
Yeah.
I tell people all the time.
Well,
man.
for me, it was like, as I said, I used to let fear bully me or trick me. It was one of the two. And now I say, I see you. Don't stand in front of me. Don't lie to me. Stand off to the side and you can watch me go. If I fall flat on my face, that's on me. But you are not going to stop me. And I think here's the thing too. Most people don't realize that fear, it's not trying to sabotage you. It's trying to keep you safe. And safe is what you know. Safe is your comfort zone. So you can say, like, I see you, I appreciate you, I got this, I'm going to be okay. And know that about yourself and say, and I'm going to try it anyway. And you don't have to leap out of your comfort zone. You will get just as far taking small, steady steps, over a consistent amount of time than if you were just to leap out. And it's not nearly as scary. You are simply, expanding the boundaries of your comfort zone little by little. So what scared you yesterday is now behind you. And of course, something new is going to come up. But by taking that action in a consistent way, you're also building confidence. And that is so important. So I would say those were kind of the major changes. And then also, I had a lot of limiting beliefs, which of course I had as a young woman too, but the limiting beliefs were different back then. So my limiting beliefs were around my age, like even though I was going to do this in spite of that, also it was like, well, but will anybody want me? And also around I speak German with an accent. I have an American accent when I speak. So
I never could tell.
You couldn't tell. I know.
You fooled me.
Yeah. So, and it comes out when I speak German. So that was, when I was trying to act here in Germany. So those two things were kind of a hindrance. So I decided I needed to figure this shit out. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear or not.
No. I think that's the perfect way to say it because that showed you like how serious this was for you. And sometimes when you got to express that, and I tell people all the time, like, and I usually use a phrase when it comes to like with a pro wrestling thing, because usually with the good guy, they're not allowed to cuss, they're not allowed to say that. But when you hit them at that limit, and it's okay for that one time, for that one word, and then the people are like, oh, this is going to get serious now because he just said that. And like, I like how you just said that because it's like, you could just tell just from the way you were expressing that, like how much it was really bugging you because it's like, this is something I want to do, but you're in an industry that's very judgmental on things. And like, they judge you in certain ways. That was one thing about when I got back in the wrestling realm was like, can I still go at a level that I was before? Like, you know, I was in my 20s. I looked ripped as can be. Like, it was the easiest thing. I could eat a cheeseburger and stay, you know, in that 6-pack realm and all that. Now, not eating full on the cheeseburgers like I used to, and you got to eat a lot more different. And people would have a heart attack if they hear of some of the stuff I actually eat now, just to keep myself at the realms that I have gotten.
Yeah.
Because it's at a point where it's just like it's an ongoing thing. Like, it's always going to be something that's going to make you go, all right, if I didn't get it, this is why, or something like that. And it's going to make you just lose your mind, because it's like, all right, I've got my body in check. I've got my skills set in check. I've got this part that I felt like I was lacking on with the monologues and stuff. I've got that in check. I've got my express, my emotions. I've got to act. You got to get all these things. Like you're just sitting here checklisting every little thing. And sometimes it will drive you nuts at times. And I love how you just said that, because it shows, like, even as much as this is something that you're doing.
Like 80% of everything we do is mindset.
Yep.
80%. So whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. And so I knew that, like, if I didn't get control of my own mindset, I was just going to sabotage myself again. So that's when I became a life and career coach, not to coach other people. That was not even on my radar. It was just because I knew that life coaches had the skills to help people with their limiting beliefs. And those were the skills I wanted to have for myself. And what it did was, sorry, I'm getting over this terrible cold, coughing in your ear.
You're in -0 weather and stuff like that. You get the okay card for this one.
Okay.
I would not be doing that.
So what it made me realize was, once I did it and I was able to get these skills and get over my limiting beliefs and just like push them to the side, I was like, ooh, well, that was useful, being able to use somebody else's framework and strategies. And that really condensed my timeline, because if I had to do that on my own, maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't have. But if I had, it would have taken me a lot longer than 6 months, right? And so then I was like, okay, what else don't I know? There's a lot I don't know. And there's a lot I want to know. One thing I had already realized was I knew nothing about the business of being an actor. And I'm sure that there are a lot of parallels with being a pro wrestler as well, because you have agents, you put on shows, you know, you get booked, you get paid. Like, there's a lot of parallels, I'm sure. But you
sell yourself. You're a product, and you have to
totally. I noticed it when you were talking about yourself. You have a brand, right? You were the underdog, the good guy, right? And so it's great. You have to have that, as you know, right? And it's the same as an actor. You also have to have your brand. You have to know what you're selling, know what it is that you bring to the table that nobody else brings to the table. And I love how you also said, once in a while you could throw in a swear word, because if you swore all the time, that would be you didn't say going against brand, but that's what it boils down to, right? You would have been like going against what people expected of you. And so you stayed within that, and you used it judiciously, you used it strategically, and so that the audience would stay on your side, which is what you needed as the good guy, as the underdog. So I love that. And there are definitely a lot of parallels with that. But I didn't know any of that before. Honestly, I just started getting coaching from all these amazing coaches, business coaches as well, because as I said, I had realized that, you know, I knew a lot about the skills of being an actor, but I knew nothing about the business of being an actor.
Okay, that is part 1. Stay tuned next week for part 2 with my chat with Anne Sieder.